So economic bill, let's see, call to order. So interim chairman Matthew Clark calling to order the June 22nd, 2026 meeting of the Willington, Connecticut Economic Development Commission. We'll start our meeting with 6:32. Let's start the meeting with public participation. We have one public here. Ralph, any comments or anything you want to add? Nope.
Sorry, not at the moment.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Just an observer for now.
Okay. Item 3 on the agenda, commission business, economic development strategic plan, ongoing implementation. I have nothing to add to, at this point, to ongoing implementation of the strategic plan. Do you have anything, or Joan, do you have anything, or Bill, do you have anything?
Where we're at, I believe, is because the budget has not passed.
Right.
Our next step was to have planning and zoning, selectmen, and EDC, and that's what we're waiting for.
Yeah. Which is 3B on our agenda, board joint board commission meeting. So yeah, we're sort of stuck. We had it scheduled and it got canceled. We had our joint meeting canceled because we're unable to pass our budget. It's what just under 3? Just number 3. Yeah, number 3. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and I don't know exactly when we move forward again because we have to have this would be at planning and zoning. We would join, and the board of selectmen would join. I think that was the plan last time. Mm-hmm. So, when is their next meeting, Mike?
PCC's next meeting is July 7th, but that is, we have a public hearing scheduled for that night. So when I talked with Mike McCoo, we agreed that the referendum, I think, is the 30th. So I imagine it's going to have to be an August meeting to be able to get Board of Selectmen and you guys available for EDC. Walter's also traveling. I think it's important that he's there because he's on Board of Finance, and so
I'm traveling on 7/7.
Yeah, so it'll probably have to be an August date that we can get everybody scheduled once the budget.
What's the regular meeting date for planning and zoning in August?
We would be looking at August 4th.
Are you available on 8/4? Yeah. Joan, are you available on 8/4?
On August 4th, well, I don't know. Let me ask Bill. We've got bluegrass in the beginning of August, so let me check with him right away.
Okay.
When is bluegrass? August 4th.
It's the 17th.
Okay.
It's a Thursday. That's on a Thursday.
Okay, I can be home. I can be here then.
That's Tuesday.
I'll put it in my calendar.
That's Tuesday, August 4th, joint meeting.
Okay.
I don't expect it to be a problem, but it's sort of contingent on. I have another meeting on the 3rd. And it sort of depends on how that one goes, whether or not I'm going to be available.
Okay.
So right now it's a yes. So I'm trying to write this in.
So I'll obviously let Mike know and then confirm with PCC to make sure that nothing else overlaps and keep you guys posted. But for now, that would be the next soonest.
Yeah, I'll call Walt.
So this would be held during one of their regular meetings?
Yep, would be here. Just because they're a group of 9, and that at least I know they'll be there. Plus Mike, obviously, from being on the board. So it probably would be difficult for me to be able to try to coordinate with all of them to come for a different night. And then with Board of Selectmen on Mondays. So hopefully we can get them all together.
And I just want to make sure we're all still on the same page. The goal here is to try, 2 items, I think. Number 1 is to gauge moving forward with revision of zoning regulations regarding the SDZ. And other ones, there'll be open discussion. And then also there will be discussion of tax stabilization policy. Mike asked that we expand that to, and your support as well, to expand that to other incentives and abatements. So we should be prepared to make comments and suggestions on that. I think it would be important to start that meeting with a summary of what the need here is. Now on our third referendum for our town budget, the appetite for any increases in taxes is small, or at least not a majority yet. And our grand list is stuck at about 358 million. Has been right in that area for the past several years. So we have no growth in our grand list, and we have increased costs accruing to the town from state regulations, from state mandates, from inflation, and also from people's needs as well. And so we're sort of stuck here. It'd be a good idea to look at ways we can maximize the growth in our grand list to help alleviate that pressure. I think we're all sort of agreed on the need.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we need a new revenue source in town to offset, as Matt just said, cost of living. We have a declining population, and referendums are occurring because people don't want to pay more taxes on their real estate.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what it is. So we need to find a new revenue source, which could be a commercial development.
I think, can I
Yeah.
thank you? Okay, I'm not sure if I'm speaking out of turn or not, but I did say something on Facebook today, which of course is going to get me slammed probably. But the thing is that we, as you say, we need more revenue sources. And we have this attitude that our 300th anniversary ought to be all fun and games. But I think another side of it might be for us to challenge ourselves to create the kind of community that would bring businesses in. I've been doing a lot of reading on how to attract businesses, and every darn one of them says the town's got to look good, the town's got to be friendly, it's got to have a good atmosphere, and or people are not going to come in, particularly places that are hiring or may want to bring some of their own help in. And so maybe we need to have this year to challenge the town. But if people don't want to spend the money to support the schools, would they really spend the money to work on town enhancement to bring businesses in? I just wonder.
It's a good, question. I wonder as well. Right now, the Economic Development Commission has a budget for administrative support, and that's all. I think we don't spend any pen and website.
You don't have, not even that.
I think we piggyback. Is that it?
The website, that came out of the budget maybe 2 or 3 cycles ago.
Yeah. So
there's nothing else in there.
Yeah. When we talk about things like that, there was a suggestion made on Facebook that if we build a new school, just charge the EDC with filling the vacant building, which is like 8,000 square feet or something like that. It's huge. Closing that building, which would mean, and Mike used to, I can't remember.
Well,
Rick used to, thank you. I'm getting old. Rick used to talk about that. It's like, well, wait a minute, we have an 80,000 square foot empty building at the edge of our cluster of business. It makes a significant drag on opportunity opportunities for redevelopment. So, or development, not redevelopment, expansion and developments. Anyway, I don't want to go down all that stuff. I just, think of raising what's the phraseology? A rising tide lifts all boats. And so if we have more tax revenue coming in after expiation, that means that all these problems become easier and easier. So I think
It's a formula for success.
Yeah.
But from the day we decide we're gonna have more than 5% of the property in town zone commercial, which is right, 95% residential.
Yeah.
And 5% commercial. So we need zoning change. We have a lot of it land, I think that's development suited down by the highway. I believe we have landowners that we need to include in this process who might be very interested in selling their property to someone who wants to build a business. But right now, until we get these things ironed out, we literally have nothing to sell.
Yeah.
We don't. And this is new revenue that will come into town from entrepreneurs and businesses that want to come into a town that wants them there, wants to partner with them and run a business, hire employees, have customers. And the last thing they want is the unknown of, are my taxes gonna go up? Or all my capital properties and my machinery, those are areas in a business vision statement or mission statement that you want answered before you put a lot of money into a project. And we need something that will allow us to sell and attract these types of businesses to our town. Whether it's a hotel, whether it's a small manufacturer, business is business. It's like running your own checkbook at home. And we literally need to understand that when we're talking to the planning and zoning, when we're talking to the board of selectmen, when we're talking to the board of finance, because these problems are not going away. These problems have been around for 15 years. We hired somebody 10 years ago to put together a strategic development plan, which almost mirrored exactly what we came up with. So that's where we're at. We just need to understand that we have something to sell. I'm sorry, I'm just at the point right now where we really need to have this meeting with the other departments to see if they understand the depth of the problem as well as the urgency of the problem. 60% of our homes in town right now are occupied by renters, not owners, renters. And that's an issue with regards to children in school, growing populations, recreation, you name it. Those are the things that attracted me to this town when I moved here 40 years ago. We had 600 kids in school. We had 5 baseball teams. We had 4 basketball teams. Now you look at it, we don't. And the population of the school continues to go in the wrong direction. Housing starts down. So we really need to understand, do we have something to promote what we're saying, which is new tax revenue, which comes from people who want to partner and invest. My point. I think that's where we're at. I might go over there.
No, I'm with you. There's a lot of things that the town can do and is gonna have to do, and people aren't gonna like the answer, but it doesn't make it not the answer.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately the world we're in. And every other town, I mean, every town is in the same boat.
Yep.
How do you get more with what we have? And we don't have a large commercial zone. I don't know if there's even a conversation to be had about expanding the potential, but.
Well, let's have that conversation at the joint meeting. That's the item that we're on, joint board commission meeting. Joan, did you have something right now?
I think that one of the things that is outlandish, but we're really isolated by ourselves. And these small towns are isolated. And I'm wondering that we may not get to the point where we will say, we need to combine with another town. We need to combine with Ashford or something and use our benefits that we have with the highway access, et cetera, and their benefits that they have with sort of a more of a downtown area, et cetera. These are the things I wonder if that's going to come up for question in the next 20 years or something like that. But what we've got now is very little to build on. And unfortunately, the people who have the money, have the education and some experience to bring to the table aren't coming to meetings. They aren't coming to the town meetings and things like that. And so we're kind of left with too few people, not necessarily bad one, but too few people bringing ideas in. And that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, well, we already regionalized our high school, as you know, and there was talk about further regionalization. We regionalized, when I was selected, we regionalized the animal service. I can't remember what you call it, animal control. There's other efforts at regionalization as well. So you're right, Joan. I mean, moving forward, something's going to happen like that. We'll see how it goes. Ralph, you had to add to the conversation. We're happy to have you do that.
Well, one of the things that we've done very little effort on from where I sit is the 300 and some odd acres of industrial land on the southeast side of 84, near exit 71. What have we done to promote that? Nothing. We have land available at exit 70. However, it's a challenge to do anything because there is no road to it. And I'm talking about the warehouse proposal that came up a while back. You can't do much with it unless folks have access, easy access. And they have to know that it's there and that it's available. As far as elsewhere along 84, on the northwest side, there's very few properties of any substantial size with easy access to 84. So that's really where the focus needs to be as far as industrial, from my perspective.
Thank you, Ralph. We appreciate that. Okay. So wrapping up joint board commission meeting, have you had any conversations with Mike about this will be a large meeting. There'll be 7 or 8 commissioners from planning and zoning. There'll be 3 or 4 from us, from EDC. I wanted to invite Board of Finance, but they haven't gotten back to me on any of that stuff. Maybe they'll come. So, I mean, I also wanted to have a public announcement in the newspaper of a joint meeting. I would like to announce that. Okay. But it would be beneficial or helpful to have some kind of a better way of presenting data, presenting screen, a big screen, not that big.
Yeah.
Is there any way we can facilitate that for this meeting?
I mean, we have a projector in our office that we could, put something up on a wall that, that would be larger than that if necessary. Or if there's another location that we wanted to have the meeting.
Maybe we can have it upstairs and
yeah, I mean, do we have
a screen? Is there a screen?
There's a TV on the wall up there.
No. Is there a screen?
Oh, a projector screen?
Yeah.
I have to imagine if there's
Can you look into it? I mean,
yeah.
we have over a month here, so.
Yeah.
I was in business for 35 years. When you have a large group of people, you have a huge screen and everybody follows along and they look at the same thing. And here in town government, we look at it, we squint to see a little tiny TV screen, or the people around the table here have handouts and the other people have nothing. It'd be very helpful if we could do that. I don't know. It's my
From the standpoint of having a productive conversation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Involvement and productive.
Yeah. I mean, can you look into that, Mike, for us?
I can,
I appreciate
I think we have, I'm sure we have something.
It'd be good. Okay, so anything else on joint board commission meeting? I don't have anything. Do you have anything?
That was,
You were done?
that was my point.
Hey, Matt,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry to jump in.
Okay.
You had mentioned animal control earlier.
Yeah,
The tri-town agreement is the documents are under review right now, so that I think it's going to go forward very quickly.
it's good. Yeah, I think we approved it here in Wellington. I don't know if the other ones did.
Yeah, it was, the one that went before you was a sort of a shared services agreement for the actual physical or the person and the services to be provided. This is a more formal regionalization effort of the facility.
Okay.
So it would not require the town to upgrade its own facility locally because it'd be a regional.
And I think we would close ours. That was the
Right. So Willington, along with Tolland and Stafford, has submitted and was, well, it wasn't the towns, but through CROG was awarded an RPIP grant, which is a regional performance incentive program. And so RPIP would fund like 75% year one, 50% year two, 25% year three. So there would be sort of a sliding scale of savings to implement based on the acknowledgement that there are a lot of growing pains when you regionalize a service. So I've been working with Mike on behalf of Willington, but I'm also in Tolland. And so we've got working through the terms of the agreement, which is what Ralph alluded to, but it would, yes, allow the town to basically avoid the mandatory upgrades that would be required to our local facility because all of the operations would come out of Stafford.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm sorry, what's the regional service that you're discussing? I missed the beginning of it.
Animal control.
Oh, animal control. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Stafford would be the primary location for housing the animals.
Okay.
Tallinn would be overflow, and of course we would contribute to the regional operations.
Okay, I don't want to get too far afield, but
No.
Okay, so tax stabilization. The next thing on our agenda is tax stabilization ordinance. That'll be presented as part of the conversation at the joint meeting. There's been no changes on that. I made slight revisions to this chart that I shared at our last meeting that we approved. I'll send that to you, Mike. I think I neglected to do that, so send chart to Mike, right? I think that's all of that one. Zoning regulation amendment. Anything else on that one?
Under the tax stabilization ordinance.
Do we-
That was,
John, Mark, do we have the zoning regulation amendments? Are they written out any place where I can research them, look at them? I'm not
They
sure
are.
what site do I go to?
Put them in an email.
I mean, is it under zoning in Wellington or?
All of the regulations and ordinances are in the same place under
Okay.
eCode Online. So if you go on the web or on the website for regulations, ordinances, they're all under the town code. I can send you the link if you can't find it, but they're all in one viewer.
Yeah, okay, because there's a lot I should read on the town, frankly, but this is one of them. Okay.
You sent it to everybody, Mike?
Yeah.
that was originally introduced by the state, right? The tax ordinance.
Tax stabilization was, changes were made to specific laws regarding agriculture, industrial development, but there was other things that needed to change as well. So,
And I remember there were like a list of 20 towns that were either looking at it or getting involved in it. From a formal administrative standpoint, do we have to do anything to at least be considered?
So the state passed legislation several years ago and then amended it more recently to enable towns and give them the ability to adopt ordinances and procedures for when and how tax agreements could be reached. So oftentimes the state just passes the language which says you can do this, and then towns have to decide locally if they want to and how. So,
For those listening, it's authorized by Connecticut General Statutes 1265B. And there's more than 20 towns that have passed some kind of tax stabilization or tax stabilization policies, including Tolland. Looking for others in our area: Enfield, Tolland, Derby, East Hampton, Berlin, Canton, and Oxford, Plainville, Westbrook, Weathersfield, Wolcott. So they're all over the state, and they're all different kinds of sizes, and things like that.
So did they box it up? Use a different terminology, pave the road to make it a little bit easier for small towns to follow that with regard to no expensive lawyers, agreements that are.
it's just basically creating the path, but there's no language on any like a model ordinance or anything. But I mean, some towns have really prescriptive language which says we can, it's similar to what we had. Under these circumstances, these projects are eligible. We had criteria for project types and the process and the values. And other towns said, they have language that basically says, if we want, we'll give you a tax agreement. And then the rest is subject to negotiation. So it can be, a 3-page ordinance or 3 lines.
Okay. So, there's no formal application or anything that we need to do as a town.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nope, just the local ordinance.
There's I apologize, I'm having problems with my paperwork here, but I have the ordinance here that was proposed last year, and it outlines the rules for the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Finance, and how town meeting would work when that's necessary. The thresholds regarding the cost of the project: 1 million for commercial development. I think it was 10 or 13 million for electric, and nothing, no minimum for agriculture. And then which board approves each of those under the 3 different groupings: commercial, industrial, agriculture, and electric utility. I think I did that right. And our lawyers should approve this too. So our town lawyers.
Mm-hmm. Good.
In any event, thank you. Yeah, that's okay. So I can move on from. It's okay if I move on from this one. That's good, right? Good, John.
Mhm. Yes.
Zoning regulation amendments. So again, that's something we're going to take up at the joint meeting. We implemented a strategic development zone rubric or process a couple years ago, and we want to look at bringing that back. Also, at that meeting, we should also have a line item. You're going to be doing the agenda, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess it would be hosted by PZC, since it's their regular meeting.
I mean, let's, if it's okay, maybe we can have that be a joint process between the 3 groups. So Board of Selectmen, EDC, Planning and Zoning, and EDC, so that we can make sure that all of us are agreed on the agenda for the meeting.
Sure.
All right. Ralph, you're a selectman. That should be okay, right? We have stepped away.
No, you had to catch me with my mouth full.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. What was the question again?
Well, I'd ask Mike to ask the 3 different groups to approve the agenda for the joint meeting, rather than just leaving with planning and zoning. So each group has input. EDC has input in the agenda for the meeting. Board of Selectmen has input for the meeting, and Planning and Zoning has input.
Well, just drop a email to Mike about getting it on our next agenda, that's all.
Yeah. Do you want to do that, Mike D'Amato, or you want me to do that?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I figured it was gonna be billed as a workshop between the three groups to discuss items pertaining to the strategic plan, tax, ordinance pertaining to tax, whatever, and zoning like, I figured I would keep it very broad to not limit the specific items on the discussion. I don't know, I mean, if you have other specific things you want to talk about, but I think it all falls into those 3 points on the umbrella. I mean, if it's a P and Z meeting, I'm gonna have to put it on their agenda. If it's gonna be their regular meeting, and it'll be, we'll have that as an item.
We'll just put the 3 items on the agenda.
Yep.
And if it's okay with Mike, to share it with Board of Selectmen and the EDC and Planning and Zoning. And we'll provide input. We're not approving or disapproving it. That's Planning and Zoning's job.
Right.
Just give us the input. Right. So, I don't have anything for our next item, which is business retention and expansion. I'm all. Do you have anything? I don't have anything. Mike, do you have anything for this?
I have a couple of things that I wanted to note, so I don't know if you could talk about it now or under other business. I don't think it.
Just either one. We'll combine it. Easy going.
Yeah. So a couple of things. One, I had worked with Mike McCoo a little bit last minute, not because of anything on our part, but because the state had some incorrect information on a CIF application. So I did submit one on behalf of the town for related to a fire station, but we had intended on trying to get a separate application in for a South Willington sort of planning, let's call it a planning study that would look at development potential and potential connectivity for utilities, including water, sewer. So the state has something called the Community Investment Fund. They are in round 9. They will have 2 rounds per year, every year through 2030. For the first 8 rounds, Willington was listed as ineligible. I came across something that had Willington listed, and we reached out to DECD, and they confirmed that, in fact, Willington was eligible, and the information on their website was incorrect. So it stands for the Community Investment Fund. It is a no match, no cap grant program. So you have to ask for something that meets their criteria, but it doesn't require the town contribute 40% or whatever. So they have planning grants, which are $250,000, and then they have capital projects, which have no cap. We had tried to submit 2, but it was too short a time frame for me to do the firehouse stuff and the planning application at the same time. So we parked the planning one and decided it was made more sense strategically to submit just the fire station one. But anyways, my intent is to submit that for their next round, which would be later this year, which would then give us the ability to engage a third party and Connecticut Water to start talking about what opportunities exist for extensions of utilities, which would then unlock. Now that we have the study, it would then tell us where the gaps are to be able to either work with a developer or to then go for funds if we wanted to look at bringing water up 32, for example, or whatever. But we need money to understand where those issues are. So that the idea was to look at infrastructure in the ground, but also to look at, the cost benefit analysis between looking at we hear a lot about community wastewater treatment system, and then also some potential development opportunities related to commercial sites, housing, whatever those items might be. Because bang for buck right now with development that's happening, mixed use or higher I say higher density housing is probably the most expensive development you're gonna get. And it can be a really substantial increase to the grand list. So I'll be working on trying to get that, and that may help us answer some questions.
If I wanted to read up on this, where would I go?
If you just put into Google's DECD Community Investment Fund, there's a whole website for it. It talks about the process. So we should hear on the grant that we submitted around, I would say, September. For fire. So the other thing that John and I have kicked around, and that I think can be useful for a number of different reasons, and not necessarily a big lift in that it doesn't require money or us to go out and find somebody else to do it, would be to come up with a sort of a developable properties inventory to get a sense of what properties we have on the books now and what's their development potential, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, which sort of dovetails into a conversation maybe I mentioned at the last meeting, but I talked about with Mike McCoo, and we've sort of agreed that we're going to start a little bit of, I don't know what you'd call it, but sort of trying to get some of these strategic property owners in for a meeting. As we've talked about here, there are a lot of reasons why someone that owns a property that has development potential doesn't want to come and talk during a public meeting to a whole group of people they might not know about what they may or may not be planning. I mean, maybe they're not planning anything, but at a recent meeting of P&Z, when John Patton was here to renew one of his several permits that required him to come in annually, he did mention that they had sort of committed some actual resources into analyzing the site behind FedEx. They had, like, from a wetlands delineation standpoint and some other things, right? So I think, we need to get, like, the Barnini parcel, the FedEx piece, and some of the other properties in town that are being held, whether they be large or whether they be commercially zoned, and try to get these folks in just with staff, at least to start and understand, do they have a realistic and truthful perception of what may or may not be the barrier to development. Maybe they think that it's in some zone or there was some issue that isn't true. Maybe they have concerns about something. Maybe they have a broker. I don't know, but we need to kind of get those things going. And that was something that was sort of on Mike's radar separately when he started. So I think as a good first step, just having them come in and meet with staff and just introducing ourselves, understanding what their thoughts might be a way to grease the skids before they get too formal and feel like they're having to come to a meeting, and they might have members of the public, and because that can be a little bit daunting. And then the last thing I was going to mention is that last week I attended a meeting at CROG. They're sort of trying to get their arms around this idea of, like, economic development shared services. Frankly, they are very pro shared. They're very supportive of shared services because it can help towns get services that they wouldn't necessarily fund on their own. But transparently, in my estimation, it also allows them to provide a service to the towns, which then means that they continue to come to CROG for that service.
Right.
So there are some things that came up during that meeting that are programs or other things that are available statewide or regionally that might ultimately bear fruit. And I talked about what I thought towns in Willington's position could find useful, and I don't think that it's more staff sitting here waiting to meet with property owners or whatever else, but I think that it's ground truthing and providing data that actually is meaningful to people in a town like Willington, helping assist and lay out the case from a neutral third-party perspective on having some of these conversations, which are polarizing and complicated, and would be well served to have another party here, but also providing, as they described it, like a toolkit for how towns have successfully been able to navigate certain issues and giving those examples. So if we're a small town talking about tax, I don't necessarily need to know how Windsor has done it and Bloomfield has done it, because they're not here, and that's a totally different ballgame. For those towns, it's just the town council thinks it's a good idea and they can go forward with it here. So having them ground truth some really well established tools that have successfully allowed towns to go forward with certain things is how I thought they might be helpful. So it's a beginning of the conversation, but that might be something that we can lean on. So those are the things that have been happening since we met last.
What's happening? I have two items. The sidewalk grant and for our village. What's happening with that?
So we got everything sort of through. We had the issues with DOT. That was all sort of rectified. One of the things that we've understood or have now come to understand is that the water service that comes from a cistern way up on the hill, off of Fisher Hill, and serves and provides water service to the fire suppression system in the middle. Some of those valves are in the sidewalk. And our concern is that in certain times they run, and if you go by, you'll see that water in coming up. And we don't want to be in a situation where the owner of the mill, whomever that is, at whatever time that happens, says to the town, well, you broke it, and so now you need to fix it, or you need to replace it, now that the town has mucked around with it. So we've been working with CROG to figure out how we can address those problems as part of that construction. And there's very specific standards for whether or not it qualifies as a betterment.
Summarizing, I think what you're saying is we have a potential problem with the factory's fire suppression system. If we tear up the sidewalks, replace them, it might screw it up.
Well, we don't want to be on the hook for a problem that exists now as a sleeping dog.
I got it.
Because now we've gone in and replaced the sidewalk, which is on top of a valve. So we're trying to be a little bit cautious about that before we go forward, so we don't end up with some crazy changes.
Is there a sunset on the funds?
No, there are not. It's been the CROG has issued us a commitment to fund, and so they've been involved every step of the way and sort of helping us navigate some of that stuff. This just came up, so there's a couple of different things that we could do with that, but
okay, all right.
It's just a saga that will never end.
Have you been in touch with what's his name? I can't remember his name. Tom.
Yes, either through myself or through Mike McCoo. He's been in contact, and he reaches out or checks in, and when we have sort of major updates. But
do you know if that fire suppression is still running down there?
it's connected, and I think it's tested, and there's a really large cistern up on the hill that gravity feeds.
I understand. I get it.
So, but that's private.
I get it.
So that it's more of the nuance of that. I don't think there's any concerns that the suppression system doesn't work. We just don't want to.
We don't want to mess it up or take responsibility for someone who's messed it up.
Let the dog sleep.
Yeah, so we're just trying to figure the nuances out with it.
Man, 3 words.
You said there were 2 things. What was the other?
The other one was the center of the property in the center of town. Has there been any change or
Property in the center of town.
the old where the printer used to be?
We
Not wanting to.
Yeah, we'd had communication from them regarding bringing the properties into compliance by the end of May. After reaching out at the end of May, it sort of shifted. The property owner said, well, we would bring the property into compliance, and the other, and 331 was never not in compliance, which is counterintuitive to what we talked about and to what was represented by his attorney. So we've sort of followed up and restated our intention and hope to have that, but there has been no communication regarding any formal, let me submit plans or let me get building, here's what I want to
Just
do.
want to get an idea of how things are going. That's all.
And
Pretty much status quo down there right now.
to a larger part, yes.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
And the only other thing that I'll mention while we're on it is that the reason why we couldn't move the joint meeting to the July 7th meeting is that's when PZC will open the hearing for the truck wash. So that went through wetlands, got approved. So we'll now go to P&Z on July 7th to open the hearing. So that's a 10,000 square foot truck wash. And then on Mahaliac, at the request of PZC, sort of informally during the zone change process, they've incorporated a small plus or minus 3,000 square foot sort of commercial storage building. Just to try to get as much productivity out of the site as possible. So the site, there will not be any internal connections. It'll, you know, all the truck traffic will be up Holster, not down Mahalik, but that will go for hearing July 7th.
Okay. Good. Anything else on other business? No,
That's what I have.
no.
My questions, I have a concern. If we hold joint meetings during someone's regular meeting, are we hijacking their meeting? Number one. Number two, we have to make sure that everybody comes with the same intention of, you know, cooperating and getting something done. So I think that that's my concern, that the meeting be a very cooperative meeting, and that everybody have an input.
I've been pretty consistent in communicating the efforts that EDC has made so far and the purpose of the meeting to PZC as we agreed to schedule it. And, you know, they're certainly eager. So I think that we'll make sure that all the groups are comfortable with how the agenda is represented. And, you know, we can talk as we get closer about specific things that'll be, you know, the goals of the meeting, but, you know, I think that PZC is pretty plugged into what EDC's been doing, and I think there'll be a lot of alignment because they're very focused on this too.
Yeah.
We've got 2 members of PZC that are on the board of finance. 1 member is on EDC, so I think they're pretty in sync.
The feedback I've gotten is
Good.
we're ready to move forward, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So we gotta move forward because you have another meeting, I think, Mike, and you need to prepare for that, so, but we'll have approval of minutes for the April 27th, 2026 meeting. Been sitting waiting for approval, and I read them a long time ago, I think,
I was not at the last meeting.
okay, all right, so you'll abstain, so I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for the April 27th, 2026 Economic Development Commission meeting. We have a second?
Second,
Seconded by Joan. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Joan?
I'm here.
Nay? No, and abstain? Abstain. Yeah. Being the chair, the ayes have it, and those are adopted. Public participation. Ralph, do you have any closing comments? You're our public participation this evening.
No, I gotta get prepared for the next meeting, so.
Thank you, Ralph. Appreciate your help.
All right, guys.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I second.
Seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Thank you. Good meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you, John.